Shalom, and welcome to this session on reading Biblical Hebrew. You know, I love this setting behind me. It's the Sea of Galilee, which some of you may recognize. And I have fond memories of numerous times that I have been there. And some of the times, I had just been there to study. You know, I'm not there as a tourist. I'm not there to film for our productions. I'm just there by myself to study, and I've really had some wonderful memories of the Sea of Galilee. So today I thought I would have fun with a Hebrew expression that you hear today, and it's a way of saying congratulations. Now there are two different ways to say congratulations in modern Hebrew, and we're going to take a look at the two. One of them is Kol Ha Kavod. I remember, literally it means all the glory. I remember when I was at the airport getting ready to go to Israel, and I was going to spend 2 months there studying Hebrew. There was a couple that I ran into that I know, a Jewish couple, and when I explained, you know, what I was going to do, he immediately said, Kol Ha Kavod. You know, this is glory to you because you're going to be working on learning Biblical Hebrew. I wasn't learning Biblical Hebrew there, I was learning to speak Hebrew. And then I came back to my hometown and continued to study there. My interest now is reading the biblical text, not really, I mean, I'm not fluent. I can get along in Israel. I can go and make myself known and understand people, but I'm certainly not fluent. My interest is in reading the biblical Hebrew. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to take the two ways of saying congratulations. One is Kol Ha Kavod, and the other is going to be Mazel Tov. You've probably heard Mazel Tov. So let's take a look. How do you say congratulations in Hebrew? Well, we're going to take the first one, which is Kol Ha Kavod, and literally translated, it means all the glory. Kol is all. Ha Kavod is the glory. Kol Ha Kavod. And it just means congratulations, you've done something really good. You know, good work, I put here is good work. Now what I want to do is I want to take a look at the Hebrew words, because I think if we do that, you're going to get a much better sense of what this really means. Yes, you can say Kol Ha Kavod, but you want to have a feeling for it. You know, in Hebrew, Hebrew is a language that has, you know, visual images and emotions, and I want to give you those emotions. So let's take a look at. We're going to go in and see how. First of all, we'll work on kavod. Okay, kol means all, and kavod is glory. So we're going to take a look at how glory is used. So let's take a look. I'm going to do it in English and in Hebrew. So Kol Ha Kavod, we're working on kavod. Kavod means to be heavy in weight or misfortune. Now, let me talk just a minute before we go any farther here, because Hebrew is an amazing language. I call it an artistic language. You know, English is very precise. It's very logical, very precise. Hebrew is artistic. And one example of that is that one word can have two very different meanings. They're related somehow, but they have different meanings. And Hebrew can play with that. It can play with the different meanings. And that's true with kavod. So let me show you here. Let's go back to that slide again. So we have kavod, which can be heavy. Now, keep heavy in mind. It can be heavy in weight, or it can be heavy in misfortune. And here's the misfortune. Now, the famine was severe in the land. And we have here, it's translated now, it's ki, which is usually because, it gives some kind of sense of because. Ki kaved hara'av be'eretz. Ke kaved hara'av be'eretz. All right, you can see the kaved, that's our word kavod, which means heavy. Heavy. So it's translated here severe, severe. It's very heavy. It's very, now, but I want you to get a picture, because This is Abraham, and the famine was so great that you could die. And of course, they went to Egypt. That's the story. But get this sense of heaviness, this intense heaviness that is coming from the famine. Now, look at the word for famine. I want to draw your attention to that because the first two letters, the resh and the ein, is ra. And I'm sure you've heard it. Ra. It means evil. It's an adjective. Ra. It means evil. Well, when you take that and you add the bet and you have ra'av, it becomes a noun that means famine, because famine is a very evil thing. So we have ki kaved ha-ra'av ba'aretz. So here, kavod, kavad, is referring to something very heavy in a way that brings terrible weight upon your shoulders, and it caused by the famine, and it's not a physical weight. It's a very severe emotional, psychological weight. Okay, let's take a look at another example. This also means to be heavy in weight or misfortune. And it's in Job. Oh, poor Job. Terrible things that happened to Job. Oh, that my grief were actually weighed and laid in the balances together with my calamity, for then it would be heavier than the sand of the seas. So his grief is so heavy. It's so, well, you know the story of Job, the terrible things that happened to him, and I mean, he lost all of his children, he lost all of his goods, his body broke out with sores from head to toe. I mean, it was just incredible, the grief. I want you to feel the grief. The grief was, let's see, we have it here, it's kavad. It's kavad, it's heavy. That's actually in a verbal form. Let me read the Hebrew to you. Here it says, Ki ata, that ata is meaning now. Ki ata mechol yamim yichvad. So we have here ki ata mechol yamim. All right, that hole is sand. Mechol yamim yichvad. There, kavad is in the verbal form. It has that yud marker, which makes it imperfect and complete, so, which is very significant here, by the way. And the mem at the front, me hol yamim, makes it a comparative. Sand is more than, or the sand of the sea, it's more than, it's a comparative here. And let's take a look at the verb. We have yikvad, and it is ongoing heavy because it's imperfect. It's not complete. It's not complete. So let me just give you a feeling here, because I want you to have a feeling for this here. Job, whose misfortune, his calamity, is so intense that what he's feeling is heavier. It's that comparison. It's heavier than the sand of the sea, and he's feeling it. It's heavier, and the heavier is ongoing. It's continuing on and on and on and on and on. It has no end. So that's the picture. The calamity is so great that there's no end in sight. It's ongoing. It's incomplete. It's ongoing. So that's the way kavad is used, and I'm pronouncing it as a three-letter verbal root, kavad, is used when it's very heavy with misfortune. Now we're going to take a look at it the way it's used with Kol Ha Kavod, which is heavy in a different way, not misfortune. It's heavy in a different way. So let's take a look at another verse here. So here it still means to be heavy, but we have in English, now Avram was very rich, very heavy in livestock, in silver, and in gold. And it's fairly easy to see it in Hebrew. Ve Avram kaved me'od. Me'od is very, very, very much. Kaved me'od. Ba'miknei, so that's the livestock. Ba kesef, that's the silver, bazahav. So let me read the whole thing now. Ve'avram kaved me'od, ba'miknei, ba'kesef, bazahav. So now what we have, let's talk about this for just a minute, because what we have here is we have the sense of being heavy, but it's heavy with riches. So it's that artistic nature of Hebrew. Hebrew is amazing. So the same word, by the way, we've seen it used as a verb, we've seen it used as an adjective, we've seen it used as a noun. It can be used in different ways, all coming from the verbal root. And it means to be heavy, but it can be heavy with misfortune. It can also be heavy with riches. So now I'm going to do one more verse before we get into our Kol Ha Kavod. So let's do one more. All right, this one actually gets into our Kol Ha Kavod, which is to be heavy with honor. And you'll recognize this one. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be prolonged in the land which the Lord your God gives to you. And we start out kaved. Kaved, which is that honor. Kaved. It's heavy with honor. That's what it is. Kaved. Heavy, heavy, heavy with honor and respect. It doesn't say to love, it says to honor, respect. Kaved et avicha. The et is the little, you can't translate it, it just means something specific. So who do you give honor to? Kaved et avicha. You recognize av is father, and the at the end is your father, avicha. Ve et imecha. So ima is mother, imecha is your mother. Lema'an, so that, lema'an. And then we have ya'arikun, yamecha. All right, the Arab is to make it very long, to be very long, okay? And then you know the noun yom, which is day, and it's just pronounced a little differently, yamecha, your days. So it's going to be made very long, your days are going to be made very, very, very long. Al ha'adama asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach. So that's going to be, it's going to be made very long, al ha'adama. Eretz is a noun for the land. Adama is another noun for land, and it comes from Adam because Adam was made from the dust of the ground. So Adam becomes Adama to mean the dirt of the ground, the dirt of the ground. So your life is going to be prolonged. Al ha'adama asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach. Do you recognize natan, the verb natan, which means to give? But listen, noten. That's the sound of the participle. So is giving to you. And the participle isn't that common in Hebrew. And when you get it, it's this, again, this sense of ongoing. He's giving it to you to lengthen your days. And so let me explain this one too, because this is so Hebrew. I just want you to get it in Hebrew. Because when you get the participle, see, in English, we translate the ing, giving. But in Hebrew, it has this emotional sense of going on and on and on and on. So God is giving to you, you honor your father and your mother. You give them great glory, great honor, great respect. And if you do that, God is going to lengthen your days that you spend in the ground, the Adamah, the ground, that he's in the process of giving you. He has not given it. He is not giving it to you right this second. He's giving it to you and giving it to you and giving it to you and giving it to you because you are giving honor and glory to your father and your mother. So what we have here is a phrase that I think you need to memorize. Kol Ha Kavod. Kol Ha Kavod. It simply means all the glory, but it's used as congratulations, good work. And I want you to think of it in terms of the glory, the honor, the respect. So that's the way it's used. It's used not in the heavy misfortune, it's used in the heavy honor and the heavy glory and the heavy respect. So that if somebody has done some really good work, then you say to them, Kol Ha Kavod. And if you're teaching a Hebrew course or something, or you've got a little group that's studying Hebrew and somebody does a good job, you say, Kol Ha Kavod, Kol Ha Kavod. Okay, we're going to do another one, and that is Mazel Tov. And that one's usually done like at a wedding. Mazel Tov. Now, it's very interesting. I'm going to give you some interesting information about Mazel Tov. I am pronouncing it Mazel Tov because that's the way I was taught. It's Yiddish. It's Yiddish. Mazel Tov. And I think that's the way you hear it spoken here in this country, Mazel Tov. Yiddish is a mix of Hebrew and German that was created by Jews living in German-speaking countries. And many of them actually came to this country before the Holocaust, and some of them were able to escape from the Holocaust. And they brought their Yiddish with them. My husband's grandparents spoke Yiddish. His parents understood it but didn't speak it. He knows phrases and things that were said, and Mazel Tov would have been one of them. And it's the Yiddish pronunciation. If you did it in Hebrew, you would say Mazel Tov, but we say Mazel Tov. That's the Aramaic pronunciation. Now, what it means, and it originated Yiddish in Germany. It's not in the Bible. It's a saying that originated in Germany in the Yiddish, and it means. We say good luck, but it's good luck, good fortune. All right, I'm gonna show you something. It's really very interesting. I'm going to take you into a verse in the book of Job, and Job is going to talk about the constellations. I hope you saw our 12-part discussion program on the constellations. Which was really exciting to go into the constellations, because we know that in the ancient world, the ancient cultures, including Israel, saw prophecy in the stars. They saw prophecy in the constellations. So let me show you in Job that this actually, we can see it in Scripture. So God is talking to Job. And he's asking a rhetorical question. The answer is no. And God says to Job, can you lead forth a constellation in its season? I mean, God can do that. God is in control of the stars, the way they move, the constellations and the way they move. God is in charge of the prophetic information that these constellations are giving. That's what's happening in Job here. Can you lead forth a constellation in its season like I can, says God to Job? And of course the answer is no, Job can't. And can you guide the bear with her satellites? Now, you're not going to understand this until and unless we get into the Hebrew. So let's take a look at the Hebrew, and I'll go slowly and I'll explain it to you. We start out with ha-totzi. Now, Yatsa is the three-letter verbal root, which means to go out or to go forth. And the yud is a scalery little letter that will often drop out. And it has dropped out here, so you're only seeing the two letters in the verbal root. There's a yud in the middle. It's not part of the verbal root. It's there for the sound. Ha-totzi. It's part of the sound to give you the E sound, ha-totzi. Now, the hey at the beginning I've highlighted because it's an indication that it's a question. A hey you put with a noun. Well, this isn't a noun, this is a verb. So when you're putting it in front of the verb, it's an indication that it's a question. And the tav is the marker for you. So can you go out or go forth? Mazarot. Mazarot is the word for constellations. Okay, Mazarot, and Mazarot, be'ito, in its time or in its season. So hatotzi, mazarot, beito? No. Ve'ayish, albanim, tanchem? All right, so we have Ve'ayish is a lioness. But it seems to be referring to the constellation that we call I think it's called Ursa Major, the bear, the big bear, because there's a big bear and a little bear. And Albanim, except it's Albaneha, its sons. So its sons would be its satellites. Its satellites. And then now we have Naha, which means to lead, meaning to lead men. But in this case, that the constellation of the bear God is leading those little stars that go around the constellation. Now, I've got some very interesting things to show you here. Well, first of all, that's that Mazarot, and that refers to the constellations in the heavens. And now, God is asking Job, can you make those constellations move? Because they moved. They didn't move. The earth is moving, but it looks like they're moving, right? And as they moved, there was all kinds of prophetic information connected with how they moved. And then the bear is one of the constellations, which may be Leo the lion. That may be what it is. And it has some little stars that are around it, and it's leading those stars. Those stars are stay in the same position, and it leads them. Those little stars follow. Now, I'm going to show you some fun things here. Here is a picture of the constellations, and it shows the lines, to give you a sense of what the ancients saw in these star patterns. Now, right here is the Leo the lion, and let's see. Here is Ursa Major. That's the bear. That's the bear. So the Hebrew is a lioness. So it probably is referring to not Leo the lion, but Ursa Major, the bear. That's probably what it's referring to. Now let me give you some other really interesting information here. How do we know about the ancients? Well, we have this tiny little piece of evidence in the Bible because Job is talking about the constellations. We have evidence from manuscripts from Babylon. We have a fascinating thing in Egypt. So that all the Near Eastern ancient cultures were all looking at the way the stars moved and the patterns that they made is the God for Israel, or the gods for the pagans, giving information from the skies. There is in Egypt a temple, and painted on the ceiling of the temple was the constellations and the pictures of the constellations and the names of the constellations. Now, when Napoleon's army came to Egypt, they cut it in parts and brought it to Paris. But we have pictures. Let me show you here. We've got a picture here of the Dendera temple in Egypt. That's on the left. It's ruins of the temple. And on the right is what was on the ceiling. And that has been put together in Paris. But it's a picture. It's a little hard to see. But it's showing the pictures of all the constellations, and the constellations are not done. They're actually like drawings of the constellations. So Leo the lion would be a drawing of a lion, and then so the whole sky pattern was in this Dendera temple. So let's go back and look one more time at this this wonderful verse from Job. Can you lead forth a Mazarot in its season and guide the bear with her satellites? So Mazarot is the word from which we get Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov. So the Mazel is from Mazarot, And it's referring to all the spiritual information that God gives to mankind in the stars and in the heavens and the constellations and the stars in the sky. So what it's really saying is there is good fortune in your stars. That's really what Mazel Tov is saying. That's the origin of Mazel Tov. So typically it's, I will say it like in an email. If somebody has told me they've done something, they've discovered something, or they just ordered a book, they were so excited because they were led to order a book or something like that, I will send an email back and I'll say Mazel Tov, and I'll put an exclamation behind it. And it's because I have been around my husband's family, and they use the term Mazel Tov. It's often used, with the wine, l'chaim, Mazel Tov, something wonderful is happening. What it really means is good fortune in your stars. And so I thought we would combine working with Hebrew with something fun, and I hope you can learn how to say not only Mazel Tov, but Kol Ha Kavod, all the glory, all the honor, all the respect, Kol Ha Kavod goes to you. With that, I wish you shalom.
Bible Interact, uncovering the mysteries of the kingdom of God. At BibleInteract.tv, you will penetrate the scriptures of the Bible. At our store, you're just one click away from owning your favorite books, DVDs, or study guides. Earn a degree from our university and watch hundreds of video presentations from biblical scholars, archaeologists, and theologians. By subscribing to Bible Interact, you'll find all the resources you'll need, so why not subscribe today? Go to www.BibleInteract.tv. You'll be glad you did. Interested in studying more about the temple, the Messiah, or what God's plan is for our future? No problem. We've got you covered. With more than 200 DVDs, books, and workbooks, you'll find the answers you've been searching for. Bible Interact, uncovering the mysteries of the kingdom of God.